Alright, I'm going to make this video because I just got this saw, put it together, tried it a couple different ways, and not sure it's working properly. Matter of fact, it doesn't seem to be working right, and I'm not going to use it yet because I don't want to get hurt and I don't want to break it. Unfortunately, the technical people on customer service, they don't support you. They do it via email, so I'm waiting to hear back on one issue that I asked, which is and matter of fact, I'm sending this to their email once they email me back. This is showing a clockwise spin. The saw is made for a counterclockwise spin, and I saw that in the comments because people in the comments were mentioning that. Now this is called a Vevor. Let me show you. It's right there. So the blade is showing clockwise. This thing spins counterclockwise. Now I had tested this first to see how it ran in the motor, and I thought, okay, pretty cool. But once I put the blade on, and they have two backing plates, I tried it a couple different ways. They both sit flush. They're a slightly different looking plate. When I reversed the one thing, it seemed to be worse. So I think I had it right the first time. The directions are really crappy. Now, I'm not going to get into why I bought this and all that. I just want this to be a technical thing. So if anybody sees this, why I'm waiting for them to get back to me once I email them, what I'm having is the issue, and I'm going to show you. This thing seems to run smooth as it starts up, and it seems to shut off smooth. Once this is all put together, and I put this is an electric saw, by the way, not gas-powered. So I have a wet tile saw, and my wet tile saw has a similar setup on the backing plates, but I think my backing plates are better, and the system's better on my wet tile saw. It's actually a Harbor Freight called Diamond back, and it's really good. This is a little bit, I don't really like it that much, but what I want to show you with is this spins really nice, but when the saw's on it, it almost seems like, well, not seems, it looks like that this and the blade spin separate for a slight second, and then it starts spinning really nice. Then when I shut it off, it makes a lot of noise that I don't think it should be making. Now, I tried holding it up in my hand, and I'm going to, with the camera, I'm going to test it like this. I've already done both, and they both do it. So whether the saw's like that or whether the saw's laying on its side, it makes this sound. And what happens is, and you're going to see it, is it looks like the inner mechanism spins, and then this spins separately. It's really bizarre. I've never seen anything like that on a tool, like a power tool. Like, why would you have all these locking mechanisms, right? So I do not want to cut a rock with this because I don't need this thing getting broke or, flying off or something. It's real tight, and it doesn't look like it's going to fly off, but you never know. So let me go ahead and show you this. And it's counterclockwise. Now, I even just tried putting the blade on backwards. That didn't do nothing either. And the blade looks exactly the same. The diamonds look exactly the same on each side. And yet, why they sent me one that shows clockwise when the saw is running counterclockwise is really bizarre to me. Nice and smooth and perfect. Now watch, I'm going to pause you and I'm going to put this blade on, and boy, it just doesn't seem right. And another thing I want to say really quickly here, so on my wet tile saw, I have a piece just like this, but there's a lot of thread. So the thread goes in here because there's going to be a screw, and you can see this lip isn't that much. So this little thing kind of has a locking mechanism. It's not like you screw this or anything. So that's a really strange design because on mine tile saw, I screw this on and there's a lot of thread to hold it on. So this will go deep in there, and this is just like a locking mechanism. I just wanted to show you that real briefly in case you have any understanding of the noise you're going to hear. All right. So I'm standing back just in case, but there's no wobble or anything. It's just like my blade. I mean, it shifts a little bit, but my wet tile saw does that too. But my wet tile saw does not do what this does. Now, maybe because it's electric and it's made this way, I don't know. But it starts slow, obviously. Now, my wet tile saw is electric. Obviously, I plug it into the wall just like this. But that thing starts up like wham! You pull the thing and wham! This takes a little bit to go, but watch. Just watch in here as it goes. And I'm not purposely trying to make this thing slow. This is just how it starts. See that right there? Like, should that still be spinning? Shouldn't that be spinning with it the whole time? Like, I don't know. My saw is packed away and I can't get to it right now. And I've never, I never looked at my wet tile saw because it has a, if you're familiar or not familiar with it, it has a casing that opens up. You put the blade in, you tighten it, and then you put the casing back on so the blade is completely closed and everything's water in there, and spits out the water. So I never watched it, but it never makes that noise. And I can't imagine that the blade would spin and this thing stop. It doesn't make sense to me. And that noise just doesn't seem right. Now, just to make sure I'm not going crazy, I'm going to put the camera down because I have nowhere to put it right now. And I'm going to hold this in my hand again and to see if it does it. Because it did it the first 2 times. So let's see what happens. Yeah, it does. I held it with my hands and upright like you would be cutting, and it does the same thing. That metal grinding sound, like I don't know what it could be because there's no metal here when it starts up and when it first slows down. So I don't know what that metal sound is, and like I said, I'll have to get your guys' opinion if somebody comes across my video that knows this or that they say, but I can't imagine this thing spinning on its own after this stops. That just seems bizarre to me, and the noise is really bizarre. Now, like I said, the arrow's pointing clockwise, but this thing spins counterclockwise. I examined the whole blade and everything. It doesn't look like everything looks the same on each side. There's no depth difference or anything, So I flipped it over, but I got the same thing. It didn't make any difference. It's just the lady said on customer service maybe they painted the arrow in the wrong direction. Either way, I tried it, and that noise. So, yeah, to anybody on the internet and to you guys at Vevor, if I'm pronouncing that right, Vevor, let me know what that is because I wanted to cut through some of my rocks here and trim off the edges so I can fit them on my wet tile saw, and that's why I bought this thing. To do larger rocks that I find, crystals like this and crystally gem stuff like that. But I ain't going to cut with this thing and find out that, the saw is like broken or something, or I get hurt from it. Why I'm making this video, I will say that it was missing the two wrenches. So that's why you see my toolbox out. The directions on this and the pictures are horrible. You can't even really see anything because everything's black and white and black on black. You can't see anything. That being said, I think somebody had this saw already because it's hard to see in the light, but this handle looks worn down and old. It's a little bit off color. It's hard to see the lighting, but it's off color. I can see like there's so much fadedness. It's hard to pick up like a steering wheel that's been used, for a few years, but if this handle was used and this saw was used for a while, it would have had to have been a while because it can't take 1 or 2 or 3 times to wear that kind of stuff off of the. Let's see if I can get this. It's hard to see in the light, but the whole thing is worn down. Like the colors come off. That's the only thing that looked like it was worn. And I thought, well, maybe it's somebody, send back a handle. The package was complete. Everything was complete. The saw itself doesn't look that dulled down or anything. This handle maybe a little bit, so I think it might have been used. So if somebody broke it, that's really going to be upsetting to me because I don't want to have to pack this whole thing up and resend it in if that's what this noise is. So once I saw that the 2 wrenches were missing and the handle was a little dull, then I thought, maybe somebody used this and they broke it. and they just gave me a new blade because the blade had looked fine. There's a little stuff on it now because I've been putting, when I'm pushing it around here. So yeah, let me know, anybody on the internet and anybody at Vevor, because I really wanted to use this. The weather's going to be warm in the next few days, and I wanted to cut those rocks up. That just doesn't sound right, but at the very least, let me know if that thing's supposed to spin. This is supposed to spin on its own while this thing stops. That's really strange. And that noise, that noise. I think that's all I can show. And for anybody, I was going to do a whole demo on this thing once I got it up and running from start to finish, but it comes with a water pump and everything in case you're on the internet and you want to know what that is. And it, it hooks up to here, and it's supposed to spray water and everything. So it looks like a nice thing. It's a little heavier than they said. They say 20 pounds. This thing seems like it's about 30 pounds. The handle does reverse. There's a little switch, and you can reverse the handle. I don't know why you would want that kind of handle, though. Like, it seems a little bit odd to try to squeeze something this way while turn that way. Otherwise, it's your typical saw. It's not gas-powered, obviously. It's electric. And I think that's about it. Oh, I'll know what I can tell you. Also with this design that I can't stand, I don't mind the Allen wrenches for some things on tools or products or whatever, but not something major that you got to take on and off, especially if you got to put a little oil, put some oil underneath here and stuff like that. This thing, you know how they are. Look at that. I must have taken it off 4 times, gently as I could, to, make sure I fit that in the hole completely before I start turning it. And even by doing that, and you don't need a lot, you twist it in by hand, obviously, as far as you can. Even by doing that, it already is starting to misshape, and that's so annoying. That's why I like the wet tile saw that I have. I have that kind of nut, and I just tighten it easily. So that's another bad design. But people gave this thing really great reviews for cutting. This is the 14-inch. They have 12 and 7. The guys that bought the 14-inch, there's like 40 reviews, and people were showing pictures, and they said it cuts through tile, through reinforced cement, if that's the right word, and they were putting 4 or 5-inch lines and cutting out big pieces of brick and cement floors and walls. So I was really happy to hear that, because this material that I just showed you is only about a 5 to a 6, maybe even less at times on the hardness scale, where that concrete is about a 7, which would be about what quartz is. So I was really interested for the price and everything, and I'm really interested still, but not the way that thing is sounding. All right. So yeah, hopefully I'll get some answers, and once I do, I'll label them under the video on YouTube as well, what they give me the answer to the spin, why the blade is showing the wrong direction, why this thing spins and this thing stops, and the noise. I'll let you all know that. All right? Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.